Welcome back to the TV show. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing the debut epic fantasy novel by Clay Harmon. It is called Flames of Mira. Now, just right up front, I know Clay Harmon. I actually met Clay Harmon for the first time 3 or 4 months ago at a pizza party that some writers here in Salt Lake City were throwing. He actually gave me an arc of his book. At that time, I never did read it. I waited until the actual hardcover just came out a few weeks ago, and I went to his book signing, and I had him sign the book to me. As you know, I always show off my signed copies. He actually signed the arc also. Never did read this. See, there's a sign right up there. Never did read the arc, you know. Probably should have. I mean, he was nice enough to give it to me. I just never trust arcs. I don't collect them. I mean, even the arcs of my own novels, I sort of distrust them. So I always wait for the real thing to get published, and then I dive in. And oh my God, this was a fantastic book. For a debut novel, it was just brilliant. Let's talk about the covers first, just the physical aesthetics of the book, and then we'll get to the review. You know I love graphic design and cover illustration, so let's get right to this one. It's a very bold cover. An artist named Larry Rostat. There's a great map on the inside, a colorful map. Just an exquisitely colorful map, done very well. Artist by the name of Gemma Sheldrake. So let's get into the book. Great packaging, great maps, A+ job on that. Let's get right into the book. I mean, this is an interesting, unique, something like a type of fantasy like you've never read before type fantasy. And I can really say that. And I've read thousands of fantasy books. I've thousands. I've read them. This is unlike anything I've seen yet. So let's give kudos to Clay Harmon for creating something absolutely different and unique with this. If I was to compare it to anything, it's sort of like Steven Erikson in the Malazan books, in that it just sort of drops you into the world, and you just sort of have to figure your way through it. There's a lot of terms and terminology and magic and different things going on that are not really explained well, but as you get 30, 40, 50, 60 pages in, you really start to follow it along, and then you're sort of in for the ride. But it does take a little work. The other book I would compare it to would be Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, and that would be dealing with the magic system that we're, it's the magic system. So the magic system is very scientific and elemental in nature, and so it's just going to naturally get a Mistborn comparison. So, this book is grim. About 99 pages in, I'm telling you, this book took a turn, a gory turn, that was brutal and shocking, and I was just like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. I should have been expecting that. I can see how everything was leading up to that, but boy, howdy. I was just like, whoa, okay, here we go. There's some characters in here that have some decisions to make. That's one of the great things about this book, is each character is just sort of, well, at least our main character is trying to be a good person, but he can't. For actual reasons, he can't. I mean, his name is Ig, or Idge. His name is I.G. I don't know how the author pronounces it. I was going Ig the whole way through. Now, he's an enforcer, an executioner for the magnate Sorello Adrian. And he is cursed with what's called a flesh binding, where you know, the magic that he wields will actually kill him if he disobeys the orders of magnate Sorello. And so he's an executioner. He wants to be a good guy, but he has to kill people for the magnate that he doesn't necessarily want to kill. If he doesn't kill him, well, then he will be killed. And he likes his job and he likes living where he is because his backstory, where he came from was way worse, and so he's got all of these conflicting emotions going through him, and he does bad things when he doesn't really want to, and he's conflicted. Now, if you want to know the gory details of what it would be like if you threw a live human into a pit of lava, in the first few pages you will find that out. That's the amount of gore and blood and guts and just grimdark this thing was going. I was wondering how dark it would be, having met the guy, the author, Clay. He seems like such a nice, wholesome guy, kind of like me. And many people think that my books are bloody and gory and violent. Well, Clay is a nice, wholesome guy. His books are bloody, gory, and violent. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now, let's talk about the place they live, the map. It's full of volcanoes and ice. The thing is these characters, they travel through these huge caverns. It's like a quest novel in a way. It starts out as more of a political thriller and then moves into questing. And they start out and they go through these the political machinations force them into these caverns that have been carved out by lava. And this is where sort of the magic comes in, because our main character, Ig, his magic that he uses is he can dip his arms into the lava and use the lava as a weapon, like Spider-Man with his spider web. He just flings the lava and it kills people. It's pretty damn cool. But it also comes at a cost. I mean, it does burn him, but he can heal from it. Now, what's happened is the magnate Sorello has a couple kids, Emil and Sarah. The relationship between Sarah and Ig, our main character, is just great. I absolutely loved that. Very back and forth, somewhat toxic, somewhat you're rooting for him. I mean, the royals themselves live in this state of denial, whilst the commoners kind of know the truth of how the world really works. Kind of like today. Anyway, you know, Ig is given a lot of secret tasks by his master that he has to accomplish. And as he does these secret tasks, he goes about dressed sort of in a disguise as this guy named, a mercenary named Jakar. So a lot of the scenes take place, well, every scene takes place from Ig's point of view. But sometimes it takes place from the mercenary Jakar's point of view, because he is Ig. And it's very cool. So what else did I want to say? I don't want to say too much more. I don't want to discuss the magic system too much, because I think there's about a third of the way through the book, the characters themselves get into a lengthy discussion of the magic systems. And that's kind of where you learn a lot about the world and the world building. And I would rather you discover that on your own, because that's sort of the fun of reading this book. Because dipping your hand in lava and flinging it isn't necessarily the only type of magic there is here. There's much more and greater and more interesting types of magic that other characters have that are based sort of off of the chemistry and real world science, if that makes sense. The one thing I did want to mention was there's some flashback scenes. There's also some scenes told from another character's perspective. 80% of the book is told from Ig/Jakar's perspective. There is another character that gets some perspective chapters too. And I was interested in to see where those would go, but I was just fascinated by this world that is mostly ice with volcanic tunnels carved through it, with active volcanoes going off all the time. Not only that, but the royals live in palaces that actually have volcanoes, volcanic lava streams as decorative parts of the castle, which is cool, like little waterfalls. Imagine having your house, you know, like some people have little, you know, rock formations in their backyard with little streams going down it, and sometimes it comes into the house, and then it's all cute and everything. Well, what if it was lava? That's what we got here. Anyway, but I was going to say, there's some scenes, a lot of scenes actually, most of the book, in fact, where the characters in these underground caverns that have been carved out by the lava, and Sometimes they're in ice caverns. And I mean, the caverns are so big that entire communities are formed inside of these caverns with inns and blacksmith shops and everything. It's just absolutely, when I say unique, I mean, I'm talking unique. I've never read a landscape like this where most of the book takes place sort of in this underground realm that is absolutely just as full of life as if you were up top. It reminded me of some scenes in Blackest Heart, the book that I read, where my characters go through some adventures underneath the glaciers. If you've read The Blackest Heart, you know what scenes I'm talking about, because there's about 2 or 3 chapters where characters are lost under a glacier, and they enter into vast caverns and vast pools of water. And it just kind of was like, okay, cool. I've written similar stuff. What do I think overall? Well, I absolutely loved it. When I went to the book signing of Clay's, I had him sign the book, and then I sat in the coffee shop at the Barnes & Noble there where the signing was happening, and I started reading it, and I was getting into all this lava. I mean, the lava, the people being thrown into the lava as executions, and I was just like so intrigued. And I went back to Clay, and I was talking to him about it, and he was explaining a little bit to me about all of this stuff and why he was writing it in such a way, and I was just really fascinated, and I was excited to get into it. And so I'm glad that I did, because holy shit, this book is fucking dope. If you like the storytelling capabilities of both Steven Erikson and Brandon Sanderson, you're gonna love this, because it's got just the intrigue, mystery, and you got to really read carefully to figure out what's going on that Erikson has. Plus, it's just got a great magic system that's really well constructed and thought out, as good as, if not better than, what like Brandon Sanderson can do. And it's just dark. It's just there's just so many dark moments in this book, and few moments of little triumphs, and so you're just left with some hope. Very good debut. I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. It was just really, really good.